If you're over 65 and even thinking about letting someone new into your life, whether that means dating, committing, or simply opening up emotionally, please hear me out. Even if you're not at that stage yet, stay with me. What I'm about to share could spare you a lot of heartache and possibly even protect your financial future. Sure, younger people could use this advice too, but let's be honest, most won't take it seriously. They believe time is unlimited. We, on the other hand, know better. Here's the reality. Being human means being vulnerable to loneliness. And that truth only sharpens with age. If you've spent decades married and suddenly find yourself alone, whether through the death of a spouse or a divorce you never saw coming, it can feel like the ground disappears beneath you. When you've built a life with someone, every ritual carries meaning. Morning coffee, evening walks, shared travel plans, retirement dreams. Losing that leaves an ache that silence doesn't fill. So it's only natural to long for companionship again, to want someone's presence beside you, to feel seen, to feel connected. I want to share a story about someone I know, actually the mother of one of my closest friends. She and her husband had mapped out their golden years, retirement, adventures, time together. But within a year of him retiring in his early 60s, cancer struck. Fast, cruel, final. Her whole world collapsed. After grieving for a couple of years, she, like anyone, wanted to feel whole again. She missed companionship deeply. She still loved looking polished, her jewelry, her clothes, her presence. But that elegance also sent a quiet message. I'm stable. I'm doing fine. And that's when he appeared. A man around her age, said he was working construction locally. He charmed her, made her laugh, listened when she shared her grief. Slowly, she began to feel alive again. They dated, then eventually married. But here's the problem. He wasn't in the same financial place. Not even close. I'll say it plainly. He saw her vulnerability. He sensed her loneliness and grief. And like a shark circling shallow water, he moved in. He knew exactly what he was doing. It took nearly a decade for her to untangle herself. In her early 70s, she had to file for divorce just to avoid financial collapse. And because he had health problems when they split, and she held more assets, the court ordered her to pay alimony. In her 70s, can you imagine that? That's the nightmare nobody talks about, and it happens far more often than people think. I don't want it to happen to you or someone you love. Maybe someone comes to mind right now. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's a sister, a brother, a friend, a neighbor. Or maybe you've lived through something similar yourself. If so, share your story. Let's help each other. Silence only makes this problem bigger. I'll admit, when my friend's mum first got involved with this man, we tried to warn her, gently, without meddling too much. But she thought we were just being negative, trying to ruin her chance at happiness. And I get it. When you feel like you found love again, the last thing you want is doubt creeping in. But here's the principle I want you to carry with you. Being evenly yoked. It's an old farming term. 2 oxen share a yoke. If one is weaker, the stronger one ends up dragging the load. And eventually, even the strong one breaks down. Relationships work the same way. If you're carrying all the weight, financially, emotionally, spiritually, that imbalance takes its toll. And at this stage of life, you deserve balance. You deserve peace. You deserve a partner who walks beside you, not someone who rides on your back. If these words touched your heart and sparked inspiration within you, leave a 3 in the comments to let it shine. If they did not, leave a 0 in quiet honesty. Every thought you share is a gift. Thank you for giving us a moment of your precious time. The same rules apply to relationships later in life. If you're the one who's financially stable, if you're driving a nice car, living in a comfortable home, showing the results of a life well built, you could become a target. And you have to take that seriously. There are people out there who have destroyed their own financial lives and are actively looking for someone steady to latch onto. And the worst part? They're skilled at it. They know how to spot vulnerability. They sense it the way a shark senses blood in the water. Now let me be clear. There is no shame in being vulnerable. No shame in grieving, missing love, or craving companionship. That's human, especially after loss, whether through the passing of a spouse or a painful divorce. It's only natural to want connection again, to want someone to talk to, someone to wake up beside, someone who makes life feel a little less lonely. But even inside those very human needs, you have to protect yourself. Keep your eyes wide open. If you're going to open your heart again, make sure the person you're opening it to is evenly matched with you, emotionally and financially. Because if the balance is way off, if they're unstable while you're carrying the bill, that's not love, that's liability. Of course, there are exceptions. If you're in a financial league like Cher or Bill Belichick, and you don't mind someone decades younger tagging along, fine, no judgment. But at least be honest with yourself about what it is. Go into it clear-eyed. But let's be real, that's not how it usually plays out. Most of the time, when you're lonely, grieving, and emotionally raw, you're not in the strongest position to make decisions. And that's when the wrong person can slip in. They know how to read your softness. They know how to wrap themselves around your world before you even realize what's happening. These are financial predators, and I've seen them in action more times than I care to admit. So you've got to stay sharp. Watch for the red flags. One of the biggest? Someone who seems too perfect. Someone who showers you with compliments, who's always available, who never disagrees. That's love bombing. It feels incredible, like you've stumbled onto the miracle cure for loneliness. But that's exactly when you need to pause. When someone seems like they walked straight out of your dreams, ask yourself, why is this so easy? Because here's the truth. We're not 16 anymore. You're not a teenager trying to figure yourself out. You've lived. You've worked hard. You've built a life. Maybe your late spouse worked decades to make sure you'd be safe. Don't let a sweet-talking stranger walk in and undo all of that. And let's be clear, this isn't only about women being targeted. I've seen men fall into the same traps. Loneliness doesn't discriminate, and neither do manipulators. That's why you've got to vet people, ask questions, take your time. And yes, listen when friends or family raise concerns. You don't have to agree, but don't dismiss them. They've known you longer than this new person. They may see what you can't. Another safeguard: keep your finances separate. There is no reason to merge bank accounts, sign over property, or tie assets together early on. Live your lives side by side. Travel, share meals, build experiences. But don't build a financial cage you can't get out of. If you want to pay for dinner or cover a trip, fine. But do it because you want to, not because they expect it. And always assume that money is gone. Because generosity is a gift, not a contract. Focus on friendship first. Take it slow. Don't rush. And if you're ever considering marriage again, sit down with an attorney first. Get your legal house in order. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. I'll leave you with a line a Sicilian friend once told me. Words I'll never forget. Don't give people the opportunity to do the wrong thing. If you're over 60, thinking about marriage, and you have assets, whether a lot or a little, get professional advice. Protect yourself, because what's at stake is everything you've worked for, everything you've built, and everything you still deserve to enjoy in peace. Here's the truth. Being alone is always better than being used. Better than waking up one morning and realizing someone has taken advantage of your trust, your kindness, and your stability, leaving you with the pieces to pick up. Think back to what I shared earlier about my friend, 70 years old, paying alimony to a man she barely spent time married to. That isn't just unfortunate. That's a nightmare. Yes, you can absolutely find love and companionship later in life. And if that's what you want, I genuinely hope you do. But you have to go in with clear eyes. Don't let chaos or drama walk into your peace. The truth is, life is transactional. Most people, whether they admit it or not, are looking to get something. That doesn't mean love is fake. It just means you need to be aware of what's really on the table before you jump in heart first. It may sound harsh, but ignoring this reality could cost you everything. Which brings me to this. What you feel is real. Why peace and intuition matter more than ever after 65. We like to think age has made us wiser, that we've lived enough to recognize when something doesn't feel right. And yet, even now, after all we've been through, it's tempting to silence that small voice inside, to second-guess our instincts in the name of kindness, optimism, or fear of being alone. Don't do it. If something feels even slightly off, pay attention. Not everything that looks good is good for you, and not every hesitation is paranoia. More often than not, it's a sign you're finally starting to listen to yourself. That unease in your chest when someone talks endlessly but says very little. That hesitation when you feel pressured to make a big move, like merging finances, moving in together, or saying yes before you've even said, "I'm ready." Those are not random interruptions. Those are your body telling the truth your mind may not want to face. Because here's the thing. The mind can be persuaded. The heart can be pulled. But the body doesn't lie. It's not emotional. It simply knows. And the older we get, the more valuable that compass becomes. It's been shaped by decades of life, mistakes made, lessons learned, recoveries endured. That instinct isn't fear. It isn't trauma. It's earned wisdom. It's the part of you that no longer cares about appearances or pressure. It cares only about one thing, protecting your peace. And peace is a treasure, not just a pleasant feeling, but a survival strategy later in life. Yet so often, we trade it away too easily. We give it up for excitement, for attention, for someone who flatters us when we're feeling unseen. But is the attention really worth the anxiety? Because peace isn't always wrapped in romance. Sometimes, peace is waking up knowing no one is lying to you. No one is taking from you behind your back while smiling to your face. Peace is not waiting for the next shoe to drop, not questioning every word, not living in quiet suspicion. At this stage, peace shouldn't be a luxury. It should be your baseline. So how do you protect it? By slowing down, by paying attention, by refusing to let charm rush you past your own boundaries. If they're the right person, they won't push you. They won't make you feel like you're too cautious, too complicated, or too late. They'll match your pace. They'll wait. They'll make you feel safe without effort. And if they don't, walk away. Because you are not here to audition for approval. You are not here to rescue someone from the consequences of their poor decisions. You are not here to decorate someone else's broken life with your hard-earned savings, your stability, or your strength. You've earned better. So as you move forward, whether it's dating again, thinking about remarriage, or simply opening your heart to companionship, let this be your rule. If your body says no, trust it. If your peace feels shaken, honor it. If someone leaves you doubting yourself more than feeling supported, leave. You are not too old to start over. You are not too late to build something real. But you are far too valuable to ignore yourself again. So let them call you guarded. Let them say you're too careful, too skeptical, too slow. That's fine. Let them say what they will. But don't let them disturb your peace or override your intuition. Because in this season of life, the goal isn't just to love. It's to love wisely. Love after 60. Redefining what success looks like. At this point in life, it's time to retire an old myth. The myth that love, to be considered successful, must look the same way it did when we were young. We grew up on stories of soulmates, the one, and passion so fiery it burned through reason. That narrative had its place. But here's the quiet truth many of us are beginning to see. Love after 60 doesn't have to be dramatic to be meaningful. It doesn't have to be explosive to be real. And it certainly doesn't have to complete you, because you were never incomplete to begin with. What if success in love now is not about filling loneliness, but about finding your own rhythm, about becoming so grounded in who you are that if someone enters your life, they're not patching a void. They're simply walking beside you, at your pace, with respect, with balance. That's the shift. When we were younger, we often chased love like oxygen. We believed love had to mean constant closeness, endless sacrifice, or emotional roller coasters. But as the years teach us, we learn peace is the real prize. And peace only comes when two whole people choose to share space. Not rescue, not control, not consume, but walk together. True companionship is born from independence, not dependency. The healthiest relationships after 60 don't demand you shrink. They don't ask you to erase the life you've spent decades building. They don't drain or belittle. Instead, they honor what you've become. They respect the routines you've created, the values you hold, the calm you've earned, and importantly, they add to it. If a relationship makes your world smaller, it isn't the right one. If you have to abandon parts of yourself to make it work, that's not love. That's a sacrifice too costly now. You've earned the right to stand as you are. Think of what you've endured, the heartbreaks, the losses, the quiet reinventions no one else saw. You've raised families. You've cared for others when no one was there to care for you. You've carried responsibilities that shaped your character and tested your strength. That journey gave you wisdom no book could teach. And now you owe it to yourself not to start over from scratch, but to build forward from strength. So ask yourself, what does success in love really mean to me now? Maybe it's sipping coffee on a quiet morning with someone who doesn't need to talk to make you feel understood. Maybe it's moving freely through your day, knowing they're living their life too, and that you'll meet in the middle, both whole, both content. Or maybe it's no relationship at all, and instead finding deep contentment in your own company. There's no wrong answer, only the one that honors your peace. Here's something remarkable. When you stop trying to prove anything, you finally allow yourself to feel everything. And from that place of calm strength, the right people will find you. Or they won't. Either way, you'll still be standing tall. So don't chase fireworks. Don't chase perfection. Don't chase anyone at all. Let love meet you where you already are. Self-sufficient, awake, grounded in your worth. Because love after 60 isn't about disappearing into someone else. It's about finding someone who helps you see yourself more clearly and then loves exactly what they see. After the heartbreaks, the healing, the years of building and rebuilding, we begin to understand what our younger selves never fully grasped. The rarest gift in a relationship is not passion or perfection. It's presence. Not gifts, not promises, not big declarations, but presence. Quiet, steady, undistracted. As we grow older, we discover that what we long for most is not someone who dazzles, but someone who stays. Someone who sets the phone down. Someone who makes time feel unhurried. Someone who can sit across from us and simply be there, not fixing, not impressing, not escaping, just being. That kind of presence, listening with eyes, understanding without interrupting, offering stillness instead of noise, is the kind of love that grows richer with age. By now, most of us have had our fill of drama. The arguments, the misunderstandings, the unspoken expectations. And so, peace has become the priority. And peace doesn't come from performance. It comes from someone who doesn't need us to shrink, who respects our quiet, who doesn't require us to become anything other than who we already are. It's not about someone checking every box. It's about someone showing up, not perfectly, but honestly. So ask yourself, when you're with them, are they present or just physically nearby? Do they listen, or do they wait for their turn to speak? Do they make your world feel lighter, calmer, more joyful? Or do you feel yourself shrinking? Because after everything we've lived through, peace is too precious to give away again. Now we choose differently. We choose calm. We choose simplicity. We choose relationships that expand our world instead of closing it off. And in that space, we redefine romance after 60. Not as a whirlwind, not as a rescue, but as presence, as witness, as the steady hand that doesn't let go when silence falls. Sometimes love is the silence that doesn't need to be filled. Sometimes it's the steady presence of someone who remembers how you take your tea. It's the shared look across a dinner table that says, "I see you." It's knowing someone is in your corner, even when there's no crisis to solve. That is success in love after 60. Not completion, not perfection, but peace. So here's the truth that comes only with age. Presence is the new romance. It doesn't always sparkle, but it steadies. It doesn't chase attention, but it builds trust. It doesn't shout over the noise. It stands with you in the quiet. And if you're lucky enough to find that, hold on to it, gently, with open hands. Because the deepest connections are the ones that don't demand, but invite. Don't dazzle, but endure. And that brings us to something worth noticing. Endurance has become more valuable than excitement. In our earlier years, we were drawn to the thrill of beginnings, the rush of the first kiss, the anticipation of the phone call, the drama of the unknown. But later in life, we begin to measure love not by how it starts, but by how it stays. The real test isn't intensity, it's consistency. Because in the end, maybe love, the kind that matters after 60, doesn't arrive with fireworks or grand entrances. Maybe it just sits beside you in the quiet. Maybe it knows how to listen without fixing, how to stay without needing a reason, how to hold space without asking for more. That's the kind of love that doesn't fade when the world slows down. It doesn't require an audience. It doesn't rely on constant proof. It just exists, steady, grounding, sure. And yet, presence isn't passive. It's not laziness or indifference. It's a kind of quiet strength. It takes effort to stay when the conversation goes silent. It takes humility to listen without rushing to solve. It takes courage to let another person be fully themselves, without reshaping them to fit your comfort. Presence asks us to be more patient, more observant, more honest. And in return, it gives us something fireworks never could: peace. We spend years chasing what sparkles, only to realize that what truly matters is who stays when the lights dim. The presence that doesn't flinch when you fall silent, the soul that doesn't ask you to perform or pretend, just stays. Think about that. How many people in your life truly stayed? Through the storms, through the long nights, through the seasons when you weren't at your best. That's the measure of real intimacy. Not how loud it shouts, but how long it endures. And in this chapter of life, we stop collecting people. We start curating peace. We no longer need a crowded room to feel validated. We no longer need constant attention to feel alive. We begin to understand that one genuine connection, anchored in presence, outweighs 100 shallow ones. And so, intimacy becomes something different. It isn't built in chaos, but in calm. It doesn't thrive on drama, but on depth. The rarest kind of love is the kind that knows how to be still. Stillness itself becomes sacred. It's the quiet morning where nothing needs to be said. It's the evening walk where steps speak louder than words. It's the shared silence that doesn't feel heavy, but healing. Younger versions of ourselves might have mistaken this for boredom, but now we know better. Stillness is not emptiness. It's fullness without noise. So if you find yourself drawn to these words, it's not by accident. It means you're awakening. You're beginning to see. You're remembering what truly matters. You're realizing that the life you've lived has prepared you to receive a different kind of love. One built not on urgency, but on presence. And that realization is a gift. If this truth resonates with you, don't ignore it. Share it. Not loudly, but quietly. Not like a headline, but like a folded note left on a doorstep. Pass it along to someone who might need the reminder. Someone who may still be chasing sparks, not realizing that the steady glow is what truly warms the soul. And here's the invitation. Subscribe not to follow the noise, but to stay connected to something quieter, something older, something true. We're not building a crowd here. We're building a circle of people who value presence over performance, depth over distraction, peace over pretense. If that feels like home to you, then you already know what to do. The fire doesn't always roar. Sometimes it hums softly, waiting for you to sit beside it, waiting for you to recognize it, waiting for you to understand that love, at its best, doesn't demand applause. It simply offers warmth, steady, quiet, enduring. And if you've lived long enough to know the difference, then you know this too. Presence is not just the new romance. It's the last great romance. The kind that doesn't fade with age. The kind that grows stronger because of it.